Welcome back, everybody. I'm so thrilled to introduce you to our activity lead for this break. Hope you all enjoyed your last concurrent session, and we're going to start a fun and playful activity with Sabina in just a moment. Sabina Morgan is a senior organizational consultant in the Student Affairs Division here at UC Berkeley. Sabina is a longtime Cal Bear, a proud transfer, re-entry, student parent Cal alumna, and she has been here as a staff member at UC Berkeley for almost 17 years. Wow, Sabina. Sabina completed her master's degree in leadership at St. Mary's College, and her research and work and personal passion is centered on helping individuals and teams discover and define their own personal vision for wellness and success within the context of their unique, complex, and nuanced social identities. She actively seeks joy with intention, and when she isn't working, you can find her in the front row at least one concert a week or laying the sun with her nose in a book. Now, grab some pen or pencil and paper, and Sabina will lead us in this fun, simple, and creative journey. Sabina, I'm a pen and paper, and spotlight's yours.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Ying. Good morning, everyone. I hope it's been a fantastic morning for you already. I'm really excited to spend the next 10 minutes with you working on something we call meditative drawing. There's a lot of different names for this. Some of them are trademarked. And so we're going to call this meditative drawing in this space, but we're going to go ahead and get started. If we can pull up the slides, there's a couple things that you will need. You'll need a blank piece of paper. A regular size 8.5 by 11 is fine. If you have an art card, that's great. We'll show you what those look like. You need a pencil and a pen. If you don't have a fine line pen, that's okay. Any pen will do, but a fine line is preferred. I'll show you what that means when we get into the activity. And so just really quickly, what is meditative drawing? If we go to the next slide, meditative drawing is a form of art therapy that uses focus and the calmness of meditation with the creative freedom of drawing to relax and focus the mind. This is not about creating a perfect piece of art. It's the process of drawing itself. As a matter of fact, the technique I'm going to teach you, you're not actually trying to create an image. There's no up, down, top, bottom. It is actually the art of putting each line on paper. So next slide, I'm going to just tell you really quickly what we're going to do. I'm going to ask you to make sure you have your material. So again, a piece of paper, a pen, and a pencil. And then I'll ask you to just find a comfortable spot in your chair, take a deep breath. We're going to pick up your pencil. We're going to draw and we're going to just enjoy this process. So we're going to pull the slides down now, and I'm going to just move to our second camera here to show you what we're going to do, and we'll go through it together. These are some examples that you're seeing here of meditative drawing techniques that I've done. So again, a regular piece of paper will do, but if you have an art card, that's fantastic. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to move these out of the way. We can come back to them. So the first thing that you're going to do on your piece of paper, you're going to take, again, about this size, like a 3x3 square, and you're just going to create 4 corner dots that are going to mark out your drawing. So they'll look just like that. 1, 2, 3, 4. After you create your 4 dots, you're going to connect them. Now you can see I've connected these. Your purpose is in holding your pencil and just moving it along the lines. They don't have to be straight. They don't have to be perfect. They can look any way you want them to. You're just going to connect the 4 dots and make a square. And then within that square, you're going to draw any type of line you'd like to create spaces in that square. And you can see on this page, I've drawn a couple different examples. It doesn't matter what your line looks like. They can be squiggly, they can be straight, they can be circles. So I'm going to just do this here on this card with you. 1 dot, 1 dot, 1 dot, 1 dot. Your pencil line should be kind of light. They may end up being a part of our design or not. So we have our square, and then in that, whatever shape it is that you want to create. So that's what we're working with from here. So I'm going to teach you now 4 or 3 basic designs. These are fine line pens. These are my favorite ones, the microns. They come in different sizes. I'm going to use a large one. We're just going to pick one of these areas, and this is what we're working towards. So the first pattern that we're going to create is this crescent moon shape here. And you'll see it on this one. There's 3 different versions of it. So all we do, pick any one of those spaces. It doesn't have to look like mine. Pick any space, and you're just going to start with your first crescent moon and create that along the edge that you've created. And then we're just going to keep going around that space that you've created to add these crescent moons all along the border. And again, this is not about perfection. You can see mine are some different sizes, different heights. Sometimes you'll get to a corner and you won't be able to finish. That's okay too. I'm going to go all around the edge. And our purpose here is just about each line that you're creating. So now, once you've finished outlining that shape, you have choices in here. You can choose to fill each one of these in and make them solid. You could also choose to add a second line and fill that section in, like I did here. You could leave them open and just add lines. You have choices in what you want to do here. And so we are just going to continue to color in each one here. And you'll go around. We only have 10 minutes, so I'm not going to get to all of them. But then what we're going to do is then we'll pick a spot and we're just going to outline the crescent moons that we've already created. Again, this is just about following the lines that you've already made. You see, we're not going to get too far into that corner, so we'll just come right over here. And that's okay. I left a little space on that side. We'll do something with that. The reason why we do this part, we do the first part in pencil just to create an outline, but we use a pen for the second part because the meditative drawing method says there are actually no mistakes in this process. Even if your line does not connect to the last one, there's no wrong that can happen here. Anything that you create just ends up being a part of your design. So you can see this takes no particular artistic talent, right? I don't have really enough room there, so I'm just going to close that one off and I'm going to start over here again. So you can see when we're done, now we filled in this section. So that's the crescent moon pattern. If I was to keep going, I'd fill all these in. I might add some shading, but you can see the start of what we're beginning to create here. Now, I know on this edge, when I finish, I'm going to want a really solid line here to close off my next section. So I'm just going to go ahead and outline this right here and create this section for myself for our next pattern. So again, this is a crescent moon pattern that we've created here. The second pattern, this one I do in meetings. It sometimes helps me to keep my hands busy. I actually listen better if I'm doing it. And this one is just really simple circles. But what we want to pay attention to is that when you draw your circle, that your beginning line meets your end line, right? That the circle is closed. So this is really about being intentional with your design. And you can make big circles, you can make small circles. When you, for example, here, right, we've made these 2 side circles. We can come in and we can fill these in with smaller circles in between. Each line is intentional. And as we're doing this, you can see sometimes there's some small spaces in between these, right? You have a choice. You can add a small circle in there, or maybe you just want to solidify that in there and add some depth to it by just filling in those spaces. This is your drawing, so whatever you do, there's no wrong. Yours may not look exactly like mine. Your shapes could look completely different. I like to plot some of my larger circles first and then work around them. I like to kind of have a sense of my spaces, but you don't have to do that. Yours can connect to one another in any way that feels good for you. Now, sometimes, right, you might want to get a little creative and say maybe you don't want your circle to close. So you can also open your circle up and create a little swirl in there, mix some swirls into the pattern that don't close. Create a little contrast in your work. The point is just each simple line. That's what we're focusing on. And so we would finish that section out with our circles. And so one more very simple pattern I'm going to teach you here. In fact, let's see, I think we have time for two. So this one's really easy. You see, I have this space over here that I've created. I'm going to go ahead and outline this one. And this one is very simple, just hash marks. So we'll take 1, 2, 3 hash marks down. And then we take 1, 2, 3 hash marks to the side. 1, 2, 3 down. And then underneath, you've gone down here. So we're going to go across 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 3, 2, 3. These can touch, these cannot touch. All we're doing is creating a very simple, repetitive pattern here. Mine are getting a little larger as I go. They don't have to. You could expand into this space and add another row. Does require focus, because which way are my lines going here? And you'll see I went over the pencil line. That's okay. I wanted to finish that section out. That's why we do the pencil very lightly, because then we can just add to our border there and extend it out that way. Last very simple pattern that we're going to learn, which you can use to fill in your spaces, is just some points here. We'll just make a line like we're making a little mountain range. Again, none of these patterns are difficult or complicated. They're really just about keeping your pen on the paper and being very intentional about where your pen is going as you're doing it. Right? We're watching the lines that we've created previously to create this pattern. You see mine is not perfect. And that's okay, because there is no perfect in this process. It is the process. Now, you have a lot of options here. I think we're just about at time. So I'm just going to tell you, when you do one like this, right, your pencil can come in handy if you want to create some shading on each side to create some depth in your drawing. Know that on each of these, that would be the next step. But I hope that this has been a helpful introduction to what is possible with meditative drawing. Again, you can see here are some examples. You can always reach out to me at sabinamorgan@berkeley.edu, and I'll be happy to share more information.